Hi, Mark Murphy in Glasgow, Scotland, a city that's evolved dramatically in the last 2 decades. I'm here on Buchanan Street, a street that combines shopping with architecture. What do I mean? Well, imagine you're walking down a busy street like this and you're people watching, because we do a lot of that. But there's also plenty of shops and you're checking out those shops. A reminder, look up and check out the architecture that makes Glasgow unique. So while staying in Glasgow, you might want to consider a stop at the cathedral. Back in the 5th century, right over there was a Christian burial site. Over the next several centuries, they're not sure what structure stood there, but in the 12th century, they began construction of the stone cathedral. After the Reformation period, they took this cathedral because it was quite large and they divided it in 3 congregations. One congregation gathered in the basement and a wall was put up to separate the first floor into 2 sections where 2 additional congregations gathered. Another thing to think about while you're in Glasgow is checking out the Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum. On this side of the gallery, they call this the expression side. It's where artists express themselves through their work and their sculptures. And they chose an artist, Sophie Cave, to feature the faces or the expressions you see over my head. I hope you enjoyed this look into Glasgow here in Scotland. And for a look at one of the things you can do just outside of Glasgow, about 45 minutes away, here's a peek into Stirling Castle. We're standing atop Stirling Castle, and what you're looking at is a medieval bridge. Imagine back in 1297, to the left of that medieval bridge, about 50 meters, stood a wooden bridge. And that was the only way to cross the river to get to Stirling Castle, a strategic point in Scotland. It literally was the point where whoever controlled Stirling Castle controlled all of Scotland. So if you could imagine the hill in the background with that monument, a monument to William Wallace, was held, that hill itself was held by William Wallace and his troops while the English controlled Stirling Castle. The English general at the time made a strategic error. He sent his troops across that bridge to try and defeat William Wallace. The bridge was small, only 2 men side by side could make it across the bridge at a time. William Wallace, so the story goes, sat back and allowed the English to continue to pour over that bridge until he must have thought, okay, that's enough, and his troops descended down and literally slaughtered the English. It was a turning point in the history of Scotland. It led to many more battles that you'll see in and around Stirling Castle, and makes for a great visit and a great historical perspective of Scotland. After the 14th century, the castle changed from a strategic point to a royal residence. And in fact, some history here in this great banquet hall where I'm sitting, I'm literally sitting where the King of Scotland sat for many years. Of course, it's not the real throne, it's a reproduction, but you can actually come in and kind of imagine what it was like back then. And one of the things you can think about is this banquet hall, and back to 1566, when Mary, Queen of Scots, actually celebrated festivities over 3 days for the baptism of her son, James VI, the future James VI. You might get lucky while you're here too, and you actually may run into some royalty. In fact, you may even run into the Queen herself. Just down the hill from Stirling Castle is actually the first house you'll see. It's called Argyll's Lodging. It's a nobleman's house, and it was built by Sir William Alexander, the Viscount Canada, as well as the first Earl of Stirling. As you walk into this beautiful courtyard, you're going to see a date above the doorway, 1632. That's when this main part of this house was originally built. If you go up to the coat of arms, you'll see 3 distinct carvings. Carving of an American Indian representing the New World, carving of a mermaid which represented a journey to the New World, as well as a Canadian beaver representing Canada and the beaver trade, where the Earl was going to make fortunes in the beaver trade itself. As you walk over this way, you'll actually see where Sir William Alexander stopped the original construction right here, and he actually built everything you see going around this way. This part of the townhouse was built at later dates. Some time up at the castle and checked out Argyll's Lodging, you're going to want to walk down the hill into the town center, where you can enjoy some amazing buildings, incredible architecture, and maybe even a bite to eat.